This boy don't say much, but he's pretty.
Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Tuesday night, so that means it's time for Arkansas Motorsports Magazine's Tuesday Night Tune-Up, and we're here tonight in Russellville, Arkansas. And we're here at Doug's Electric, just outside of Russellville, and we're visiting tonight with Jon Kirby, Dewayne Hottinger, Jeff Aiken, and Johnny Virden, who's been a special guest several times on the show. And I'm also sitting here with our co-host Heath Tate, and we want to get into our sponsors tonight. Got to thank Chambers Bank with 28 locations throughout Arkansas. Shaw Race Cars up in Batesville for all they do for Arkansas Motorsports Magazine. KR Performance Fuels, Kevin Rogers. Skyway Buick GMC in Joplin, Missouri. There's never been an easier way to buy a vehicle than on the internet, especially from Skyway. And we want to thank True Grit Auction Services over in Dardanelle, Arkansas. They're a featured sponsor tonight, and they've got a couple of big auctions going on. They got the Faulkner County gun auction going on right now. It's online, and they are Arkansas's #1 online auctioneer. They've got a live auction in London, Arkansas this Saturday. You know, I want to say something. They're not just local. They're all over the state of Arkansas. They handled an auction for me a couple of months ago. I wasn't even there the day of the auction. I'm pretty good at knowing what I've got, and they brought me in about $18,000 extra that day that I wasn't expecting. So if you're wanting to have an auction or you're looking to buy some items, check out the True Grit Auction Company. And that'll now bring us to Heath Tate's latest and breaking racing news and weather report, sponsored by Weston Petroleum Company of Plummerville, Arkansas.
Right.
Boy, you nailed it last week.
You did the last. I mean, yeah, I know I can do that. Everybody rained out, didn't they?
Pretty much.
Nobody got to go anywhere to race, so I think they raced down at Diamond Park. Was about the only place I know that actually got to race. This past week, they raced down there at Factory Stocks. Several raced.
You were in attendance?
Yeah, they did get theirs in.
What we got this week?
We got I-30, yard running at I-30. The late models were down there, so Batesville.
ASCS
sprint cars. So.
And Jackie Lewis down at Prescott Raceway wants to announce tonight he's revised his pay scale a little bit on Super Pro. If you pay a $65 entrance fee, it's $1,000 to win, and if you pay a $100 entrance fee and you win, it's $2,000. So that's weekly. So, good for Jackie there and all he does. So, you got anything else?
We're just don't look like it's going to rain this weekend. We hope these guys can go race.
I'm not so sure that you're at the helm of the weather before knowing this.
Virden, he's can't wait to get in the car. So
yeah.
That's right. I'm ready.
Well, I'll let you start the show off.
I guess the way we always start this, we just start down the road and we get to talking about how you got started racing and where you're headed, what you're doing, and we'll start with John.
Oh gosh, I'm on point.
You're on
point.
You're right down there on the end, but you know, because it seems like you're the guy that everybody's chasing right now. So
we did a show down in South Arkansas last week, and honestly, everybody down there has some great things to say about you.
they did. Other than they're wanting to beat you.
They're wanting to beat you. They think you're the man to beat, but they really all had some great things to say about you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, as far as how I got started, man, it all kind of the cloud. It seems like it's so long ago, but I think I went to Central when I was 18, 19 years old to watch W. Taylor race an old hobby stock back when they had the old big wings and everything on the cars, and man, it just struck with me and got me excited. And I guess a year or two later, I bought an old Camaro, and Melvin Burris and Randy Hams were friends of mine, worked with my dad, and helped me weld a cage in it. And I remember Melvin jacking it up and putting a socket underneath the rear end to make sure the left rear tire came off the ground last. That's how we knew it had some left rear in it.
And he probably still do that
He
today.
probably
He
still
probably
would.
would still do
He
it,
probably
yeah.
still would. And so I started in a street stock at Centerville for a year or so. I think went to Tri-State or Crawford County a time or two that year, and I liked that. So next year we were in Crawford County one night. The guy had another car, a hobby stock car for sale, and ended up buying that car. Raced at Crawford County for about a year, and then through W I got involved with Johnny and Bill, and decided I thought I needed a late model.
And it just went downhill from
And
there.
it just went downhill from there. So I bought a late model, went to Batesville a few nights after I got it, I don't know how many, and watered it up in the wall, and spent about every dime I had plus some buying it. And looked up one night and it was all gone. And man, I just didn't have any money to replace it, or I just was done. So I quit. Quit racing for, I don't know, several years, and decided back in 2007 I'd get back into it. Dewayne was racing a lot, and we were working together, and bought a late model again, raced out of Dewayne's shop here, we're just across the driveway here for, I don't know, what did we race, 8 years together? Running up down the road, and I quit, and I guess, I don't know, last year I got another harebrained idea I was gonna start again, so I bought another one and suckered these two into it.
And they had quit also.
They had quit also, and so
I got a
they're blaming
question.
everything on me. So.
Did you run into Johnny Virden again? Is that what?
Johnny had a big plan, had a big hand in me doing this.
And we knew that because Virden, when you were looking at buying the car and stuff like that, I think we've been talking or something.
We somewhere. And I said,
and
he's back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's his fault. This second time.
So,
But that's pretty much my story in a nutshell. How I got to where I am today. So, as far as where I'm going, I have no idea. I'm having a good time. I mean, I talked them into doing this again with the understanding that we just kind of race when we wanted to race and race.
I'm seeing the excitement on Dewayne's face lighting up over here.
Yeah. And that's what I feel like we've been doing. I've been having a good time, really enjoying this. We followed the comp cams there for that 7 or 8 years, and that was great. Chris Ellis treated us awesome, and had a great time doing it. Have memories that can't be replaced, but it sure is nice to be able to race local and not have to follow that if you don't want to. So.
right. And you say race local, you're getting to race a lot of these tracks around here at Plummerville, I-30, Centerville, Batesville, so I mean, you're getting to stay
Yeah,
pretty close
what
to
I call
home.
local, a couple hour drive.
Yeah,
you
you
know,
stay pretty close to
yeah,
home
yeah, for sure.
and not have to travel. But you still run some of the comp cam stuff.
Yeah, I've been to a couple comp cam events,
Okay.
and gonna go to a few more, I think. And I like that series. I like Jack and Chris. Those guys have
They're
done
doing a
great
good job with that.
And want to race that as much as I can, but I don't necessarily want to go, every weekend travel to Louisiana and get a hotel room.
Right, all that. Another big question, I guess, have you, Topless is not far away. Are you gonna go up there and try to see if you can qualify for?
I'm not.
You're not gonna do that?
I'm not doing that. I am gonna try to follow this series, our comp cams next weekend, I guess, when they do Little Rock, Batesville, and West Plains. But I know my place, and it's not a Lucas Oil event at this point. So no, I'm not. The other side of that story is my girlfriend bought Chris Stapleton tickets to a concert like 2 years ago, and it got canceled because of COVID. Well, they rescheduled it. Of course, I told her 2 years ago I'd go, and the weekend they rescheduled is the Topless weekend. So we're going to the Chris Stapleton concert downstairs, which is a good thing to keep me from having any idea that I might want to venture into the Topless.
Well, I was just curious if you'd got your motor or not yet to throwing the rocket to.
I have not. No
No
plans.
open motor like
Nope.
that ready to go.
No plans to do that at this point.
He's got a very open, limited motor.
I asked him, I did call him today, and I said, John, I said, so when you got the new rocket motor with the open motor and stuff? He said,
Is that what I said?
I didn't believe it.
Yeah. No, I really, I love this steel block deal. I appreciate what Chad and Larry have done, and, you know, Wayne Tidwell's trying to add to that, and you got Plummerville. I mean, I wish we had a few more cars, and I think we may get some, you know, as it moves on, but I'm enjoying it. I hope some other people join in.
What do y'all see is it taking to continue building that class?
Time to lose. No, I mean, what they've got going is really good. It keeps you here. You're not living out of a suitcase. It's pretty inexpensive. It's cars, so they go out to race.
I think they've got to work together. You know, they can't have, we don't have enough cars for them to compete on the same weekend. I don't know how you make them do it, but they need to get on the phone together, and the track's got to get together. And, you know, you don't need Diamond Park racing the same night Little Rock's trying to race or Batesville's trying to race. We got to spread it out, you know. And I think if they could all get on the same page, it'd
Be more cars
I
involved
think
in
it
it.
would be.
I'll make it a bit bigger. I mean, everybody's probably sitting back going, they don't want to buy a car when this is the first year for this, really. They want to sit back waiting, going, okay, we're going to kind of watch it and see if it actually lasts, and then they'll, I think I'll see some more cars next year. Maybe they go for a while.
Well, you know, if you do that, you know, the next couple of years, and you've got a pretty good steel block series here in Arkansas.
It's pretty inexpensive, really. I mean, you're not traveling. Like John said, you're 2 or 3 hours from the house, not bad.
So you're gonna make the tour next week? It's next week, isn't it? All 3 tracks?
I'm gonna try. Assuming I don't put it in the wall this weekend somewhere and ruin it, but yeah, that's my plans at this point. God willing.
So,
No,
well,
I ain't
you
get,
know,
I
I mean,
ain't
I
get no
know,
late model.
I know you're not gonna get a late model. You done said that, but I just figured you'd want to chime in on this deal with him not gonna run any open motors or try to run.
He's happy where he's at, but he needs to run some of these bigger shows and let some of these other people rest. Cause he's wearing them out. And, mainly he's wearing them out with a good car and talent.
Yeah. I'll say it's good car.
And he's
I'm
got
telling you,
talent.
I want to say a couple of weeks ago, you won the Southern Outlaws race at Batesville. It's the first time that I've had the opportunity to watch you race in a long time, and you just did an extremely good job of handling the car around the track.
I appreciate that.
You
That's
did
my first win ever at Batesville. Of course, I've always raced comp hams there, you know, just never have been able to.
But
break
y'all
through.
had a really good race. Southern Outlaws put on a good race there that night, and you just did an extremely good job
appreciate
working the
that.
car, you know, everywhere that you needed to be.
I appreciate that. But it's I say this all the time, you know, it's not me. I mean, racing's it's a team sport, and it's a maintenance sport, you know. I mean, races aren't won on the night of the race. They're in my opinion, they're won because you've washed your car, you've maintained your car. I mean, every week we're finding something loose or something ready to break. And you watch Brandon Shepard and those guys. I mean, I'm not saying they're not great talent, but they are. But they've got a great maintenance program to go with it, and they drive good stuff, and they take care of their stuff. And that, I'm not saying I'm anywhere on that caliber or level, but that we're trying to mimic that. And,
Right.
Man, I got a crew of guys and gals that are there every week. I mean, Greg Motley's helped me from the day I started racing, I think, pretty much. And couldn't do it without Greg. Jim, Tanya Roberts, Cal Adney, Bradley Robert. I mean, I just got a great crew of guys. I mean, Dwayne and Jeffrey have always supported me. They're there to help. I mean, we help each other. It's a team deal, so, for sure.
And that's important.
It is.
I mean,
It's hard to do this by yourself.
You know, there's a lot of people that we talk to that don't race anymore, and one of the things that, you know, we hear while we're out racing, well, I just don't have any help.
Yeah.
You know, used to, a long time ago, you had to run people off because you had so many people that wanted to help and work and everything. And nowadays, you know, good help is hard to come by.
It is.
You gotta have help, you can't do it by yourself. It's too much.
You wear yourself out.
Unless you're Virden. Yeah, Virden,
We can do everything.
you know, he's got
It's
it.
super.
I think you gotta have a boat nowadays to have a lot of friends.
Oh,
You think?
oh, go to Dewayne.
Oh,
Kinda the
gosh,
same
where did
thing.
we start this?
Yeah, where did you?
Well, years ago, my dad and mom used to race in Centerville, back when it was Centerville. And they drove a 65 car, my uncle did. That's where the number come from. And back in the early 90s, I guess, we used to go and watch a race. Bobby Moore had a car. And he could drive it and drove himself through the race. And Dad, I said, I want to buy that car. People told me, said, Bobby won't sell it. He did. I bought it, painted it turquoise, and put 65 on it. And I raced it over there for a while and won some races with it. And they had late models over there then, and they were racing. We didn't want them. Not very smart, but we did. So we bought one of those. And that's pretty much where that started. And we started racing the Mars circuit some, Moon Star, started traveling, lived out of a suitcase. And we went from there, and then John started racing again. And we raced up here in our shop for a while, and we traveled. We've been to Mississippi and Oklahoma, Missouri. We had some good times, we really did. It's like a traveling circus. When you go to these racetracks, you make friends that you don't make anywhere else. And you go, after the race is over, you go to Walmart parking lot, camp out, go eat at Waffle House at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Did you learn that from Virden, or was that,
You know,
or was that,
yeah, Johnny was running around with Bill then at the time, and I didn't, when I was started racing, I didn't know Bill Fry. Bill Fry was like God.
right?
To the dirt track world, to ordinary driver, Bill Fry was, you know, him and Morgan were up there. Then I met Bill, and I got my first new GRT from Bill. And Bill is just as country as we are. He's down home, do anything in the world for you to help. If you needed help on that car, he's there. And I wish I'd met him when I first started, because I'd probably saved myself a lot of money and a lot of aggravation. But anyway, so I met Bill, and he helped me, and I got with Bill, and he got us on the right road. And of course, Jeffrey's been with me. When I started racing, Jeffrey was 8 years old. And he wasn't hardly big enough to even carry the lug wrench. And he's stuck with me through the whole mess. And now he started racing, and his son is 8 years old. So he's kind of right there with me. But we had some good times. We traveled and got with John, and we started over here in the shop together. And that was fun. We went racing, and it was a good time. It wasn't like it was a job. You went, you made friends. Yeah, you had some wrecks, and then you talked about it after racing, you go about your business. And Johnny and Bill were really helping us a lot too. Then I decided I needed to get out of it. I got out before John did. I got burnt out and just needed to do something different. So I sold all my junk, got out of it, and Kirby got back in it. And then we decided, me and Jeremy got to talking, racing here local, you know, your Plummerville's 45 minutes from here or so, and racing local, inexpensive, didn't have to travel a lot.
I can tell Dwayne really likes to travel.
Yeah, it was fun though. We really
Yeah.
had-
Yeah, blast.
But it does get to be a grind.
It's a
Well,
grind.
and you get with Bill Fry, and you get up in Missouri, and Bill Fry says, hey, I know a shortcut, follow me.
We took a lot of shortcuts.
A lot of shortcuts with Bill. We used to in the back of our trailer more than once, in these little towns you would go through. But it was a good time, made a lot of memories, me and my dad, we done it together, we worked on it together, and then Jeff and Callahan helped us a lot too, and Greg, you know, but me and my dad made a lot of good memories with it. I would take nothing for them.
And that's one of the important
Yeah,
parts of the
it is.
sport.
And then John got back into it, and then we decided that we would get a car. Jeffrey's gonna drive. So I don't wanna drive no more, we don't have to try to drive anymore. And I've had neck surgery and just wanna sit out. So we went, Jeffrey's got a car now, he named it 65, and he's racing and learning.
What were some of your more memorable races or wins or places that you went and actually ran at that?
I guess one night, Dad was here, he didn't go with me, and I went to Bill's shop. Said, I'm gonna work on your car. Okay. So he works on it, he goes with me to Batesville. We go up there and we're racing, it was just a heat race. And I was driving outside of Jack Sullivan, Jack didn't know I was there, and was going into turn one, and I got hit. I left the track at a high rate of speed, and flipped it right there in front of the pit grandstands. That was pretty, I won't forget that. That hurt. I mean,
They took the car to the Prelude at Eldora,
yeah. What was that, 2010?
but Justin Allgaier
Justin Allgaier.
drove it.
Yep, Bill called me, said, hey, I got a guy that needs a car. Somebody called me and said, we want to drive a car at the Prelude to the Dream then. He said, you interested? And I said, yeah. I said, I'll do that. Well, I didn't know it was Justin at the time. So Bill said, here, call this guy. So I called him, it's Justin. I said, hey, I want to drive your car. I said, okay. So he said, I'm going to send my seat to you. Put my seat in your car. He had a special seat that he used. So we put it in there, and I got a motor, and went to the Prelude to the Dream with Justin Allgaier at Eldora.
And I think all that happened the week before the Prelude.
Yeah, that was
It
the
was
Prelude
kind of
to
a
the
last
Dream, and
minute.
then, yeah, and after that, I don't think they've done the Prelude much more after that, but that was pretty cool. The
Yeah.
TV cameras and being with somebody like Justin Allgaier then, you know, he's NASCAR now, he was NASCAR then too, I believe. But that was pretty awesome, to do that, to race up there. And we done that deal, and we have actually stayed, we bought a motor up there, didn't we? We bought a motor up there. So we loaded up our toys, come back down to Kyle Beard's house, and, where did he live? Truman, Arkansas. Drove back from Eldora, back down here, changed motors in Kyle Beard's shop, and raced Poplar Bluff.
I think it was Malden.
Malden that Saturday night. But that was.
But that's
probably-
that grind you're talking about during that time. It's
Yeah,
but it was fun.
it was fun. I mean, like I said, we would go out to eat. You made friends that you never find anywhere else. You know, you meet the Kyle Beards and the Bills and the Johnnies and those type of people that and Terry Phillips, you know, and those type of guys that you have to know them guys. Yeah.
We was some younger.
I mean, I
you're talking-
understand. I understand.
Yeah, you're talking, 2000, 2005, 10, those years, you know, that's a long time ago, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't take anything for it. To do that, to travel with those guys and Kirby and Jeff, it's priceless. Some guys never really get to experience that.
Did you have the yellow holler and stuff at that point in time?
No, I think it was.
No, I didn't
that
have
was
the
late.
yellow holler very
That
long.
was late nineties, I think.
That was.
That was the banana.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was about 98. I had that, I just had that for about 6 months, and a friend of mine really wanted it. Good friend of mine still really wanted it.
Well, that kind of stuff right there, you know, when we're out and doing this show, that's the kind of stuff that we like to hear.
Yeah.
You know, because the people that are watching this tonight, you know, that's the side of racing that they don't necessarily get to see. And those are the type of stories that, you know, a lot of people don't ever get to hear, so.
And you go to these racetracks and we travel and people come up here and want you, want you to sign something for them. They open up the pits and you see these kids and stuff. That's what it's all about.
It is.
It is.
You know,
And you don't know them from Adam.
and people that don't follow stock car racing
Yeah.
really don't understand the family atmosphere of the sport. That's a shame.
It is.
And we've said before, it's hard to, there's not a lot of kids and stuff now that are getting into racing as much as there used to be, all right? And we've said before, people like, and I'm gonna throw you out there, John, just to say, this may be something to think about, and we'll get to you in a second though, but, we get a lot of times where these kids up there in the stands or something like that, man, can you imagine when you was a kid if, your favorite driver walks up there in the stands before the race or during intermission or something, walks through, says hi to a few of them and then leaves?
Yeah.
I mean, those kids don't forget that, and then at that point in time, we've got to have them to have racing, and then they want to come back every week because, I got to see my favorite driver. He talked to me. I think that that's a big thing.
I don't think we see the connection anymore with the drivers and the fans.
And the fans
especially
like we
the kids,
used to.
Because these days, the pit areas and the tracks they're too spread apart for that, most places.
I'd say probably the best track I've been on, and it's closed down now, was BB.
Yeah.
BB, every time you went there, you're up there at the ticket window getting your tickets, and you're getting your armbands, everybody knows who you are, if you drove in with that truck.
And the other thing about BB is that when you pulled in there, you pulled in there, and when you went to pay into the pits, you were right there where all the fans were paying in also,
Yeah.
before you made the trip down around turn one to go to the pits. And you're exactly right, and I hadn't thought about that, but there was a lot of fan-driver interaction just right out there before the
Right,
races.
had that.
And you're right, that's probably the very best place there ever was for that.
And we don't think about that when we're there racing, we go to the racetrack, we pull in our pits, we unload our car, we're there trying to concentrate. It's not that we don't wanna be involved with the fans, we do, or I would love to, but we just, so we don't take the time to go over there, or, cause it is so separated, or feels like it's separated now.
Back when we were running the Marsville, we used to race at Lebanon, Missouri a lot. And every time we raced there, after the races were over, they'd open the grandstands and let everybody come in the pits. And we'd be there sometimes a couple of hours after the races were over.
And and I remember as a kid and even as a teenager, Centerville was that way. And when they opened the pit gate, everybody, but nowadays, and not just there, and we go back to the traveling deal, especially with you guys, back, you had to get from one town to the other, and nowadays you see rigs pulling out before the races are ever over.
Yeah.
And I don't, I hate to see that. But like you said, in a lot of the places where we're having racing now, it's spread out. They're not going to get to have any interaction anyway. But you see so many drivers, and it doesn't matter what class it is. As quick as that class is over, you're on the road headed home. And I remember back a long time ago, Wendell Cook at Centerville, he wasn't opening that gate until the fans got him.
Right.
And I just wish it was set up more, where we could do that again, not, at all tracks. I mean, I wish you had the rush of the fans to the pits, 'cause I just think it would help the sport so
Well,
much.
without the fans, you won't have racetracks.
No.
Right.
You gotta have
That's
that.
the thing.
So the promoter's gotta have that money, the income, without the fans while you're racing.
But if they have a little bit of one-on-one kids and even the older fans, if they have a little one-on-one and kind of get to know you just a little bit, a fan that may only come once a month, if they get to meet Jeff or Johnny or you or John there, they're more apt to come back now because they've got a personal connection.
Yeah.
And that's one thing we're missing across the board in the sport is the personal connection with the fans and the drivers. And Heath was telling me about this, and I guess it didn't happen, I thought he ran out when Crawley was gonna pit outside the gate.
No, he did. I think he
Okay.
did do that.
So I know Tim watches the show, and we want to thank him for him and his son pitting outside the gate there at I-30 and letting the fans visit, you know, during the races and what's going on. Stuff like that's important to help the sport grow.
Those fans really like that.
Yeah.
We have them up to our car, you know, and they're afraid to touch it. I said, you know, touch it, sit in the seat. Them kids, get in there, look at it. Because they see it from a distance. They don't get to see it up close. A lot of them younger fans, they love that. They eat it up.
Tri-State, a couple years ago, we had talked about this earlier, Bill. I like that after the race was over, heat race and feature, you crossed the scales, you had to drive right in front of the bleachers. And I thought, you know, every track ought to be designed like this, and I think that was just accident. But them kids would line up down there to fist bump you
Yeah.
after you crossed the
And
scales.
every one of them watching you as you went by.
Yes.
Yep.
Muskogee, Thunderbird, we raced there earlier in the year, and that,
And
it's
they
set
done-
up like that now.
I'm-
When you
And
pull off,
listen,
you
you know,
drive right in front.
them, they'd be 100 kids down there trying to fist bump you.
Yeah.
And sometimes I went through there and I was in a pretty good mood, and sometimes,
You know, I checked a race there one weekend a couple of years back, and you were there, and you were running like the same car in 2 or 3 different modified classes, and I felt sorry for you because it was hot, and every time you come across the scales, you looked like you wanted to be anywhere but at the racetrack.
I was just trying to get all I could get.
You was, but I could tell that Johnny Virden was burning up inside that race car, so.
Let's move to Jeff. Here, you tell us.
Well,
And we've heard a little bit how you got started, but I guess you
right.
just go ahead and
Like
let us all
Dwayne
know.
said, I was 8 when he started, and you know, grew up going to the racetrack, working on the, you know, doing what I could, which wasn't a lot, but watching him and guys like Bobby Moore, Alan Franklin, you know, those guys that used to race at Centerville. Then we started traveling and got to know Bill, and we traveled with him, and you know, just watching those guys and learning from them, and you learn a lot watching those guys. And then 2011, John had bought a new rocket. He had that '09 GRT, and Centerville was going to run crate cars. So they said, yeah, let's build that car and put a crate motor in it, and they'll just, you know, swap out, drive it, you know, whenever we're not running points. So we get it over there, and we took it over there on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, and John went out and made laps in it, Dwayne went out and made laps in it, and they come back, and Dwayne come out of the trailer with a box, a suit and shoes, and he said, this is yours. You're driving this car. And how they kept it, either I was just clueless, or, you know, how they kept it from me the whole time, because I've, you know,
I got a question.
helped them with it the whole way.
How long did it take you to suit up?
It didn't take that long. It was, which I've been in his a couple of times, you know, just over there at Centerville, just, you know, going around the track, but not at speed. So I'm pretty fortunate because that late model is the only thing I've ever drove. I kind of skipped everything else. But, so I raced over at Centerville some in 2011, running crate motor, and John had a 2-car hauler. So when we went to comp cams races, you know, we thought there wouldn't be, you know, a ton of cars. We put it up in the front of his trailer, and I made some comp cams races, and so that was,
You
That was
you actually got very well at handling the car that season, I thought.
well, thank you. It was, you know, we raced quite a bit, I guess, but, you know, Johnny had his late model then, so I got to race some with him, and, you know,
He was really in the way.
Yeah.
We were side by side one night at,
I was
Harrisburg.
laughing, they were probably.
we were running a concert at Harrisburg, and I was behind him, and I was working on him, and I finally got underneath him coming off the board, and I thought, I'm gonna get him. And about, just when we got past the flag stand, I thought, you idiot,
Indoors.
because I knew what he was gonna do. He drove me down to the tires, and so it was either take out Johnny Virden, you know, who I'd kind of, you know, looked up to and got to watch growing up, or
Took him out.
take myself out, and I took myself out. But
Looking back, it was a mistake.
it
wasn't
was.
It might not have been.
But I got to race with him and running the comp stuff, you know, got to race with Bill Fry, he was still racing. And, you know, being on the same track with those guys, it was pretty cool. And then now we're what, 5 races in? And, you know, we're
Got your rocket.
running a rocket, just like John's, and we've run 5 nights.
A lot of that's due to Tate's weather forecast.
Yeah.
By the way, so
Yeah.
he's been hard on the season. I want to shift gears just a second, and our Shaw race cars question of the week. You guys sitting here, how much influence did Bobby Moore, you think, generate for dirt track racing in this area?
A lot. I mean, I don't know how you put it in words, but I mean, I think anybody that is from this area, we all watched Bobby Moore growing up race, you know, and, man, a bunch. We only had a bunch on me.
Bobby Moore's a class act.
Yes.
He has been around, I guess, he's 80 now or something like that.
76?
79.
No, he's older.
Is he older? Leonard's 81 and,
Leonard's 81, and Bobby's 79.
okay.
Melvin's 81 or 82.
Melvin came by the office the other day, first time I saw him in a
Yeah.
while. Of course, I knew Melvin more than I knew Bobby growing up, but Melvin was probably my biggest influence, just
Yeah.
watching those guys, you know, race together. And I was
Bobby always was hands-on, always had, not expensive stuff, but always had decent stuff. And he was always kind of clean and neat, his car was, and he was always very competitive, still is.
Still is.
Still is. He built his own motors. That little shop over on 124. I guess he still has that same shop.
Yes, car's still in it.
But I mean, you know, for this year, I think he, in 68, when the track opened, so I think he won the opening day, he won one of the features, the opening day at the racetrack at Central 68.
Well,
But I mean, it's just amazing when you look back and you think about who really had a big influence on racing in this general area right here. It'd have to be Bobby Moore. Everybody wanted to be as good as Bobby Moore, you know. And if you didn't know who Bobby Moore was, then you probably didn't need to be racing anyway, you know.
Yeah.
If you went to races, you knew who he
Yeah.
was.
But, you know, like I said, I just, you know, somebody out there that's had that kind of influence on this general area is just, it's just a great thing.
He's been 55 for a long time, and when he turned 75, he changed his number to 75. And I don't know if he's gonna change his number now to 80 or something. He's been, Bobby Moore racing my uncle raced.
Yeah.
My dad was over there, and the Bill Yates was over there then, so, yeah, those guys were that's what started dirt track racing around here. And he's still racing today.
Yeah.
I spent Plummerville 2 weekends ago, we was down there, and he's still racing and still competitive.
He's, you know, obviously a great influence on everybody.
Still is.
Still is.
Still is.
And smart, you know, and you said, you know, he's smart about the way he races and the way he constructs his cars and everything. And you just have to admire him for how he does it.
He's very frugal.
Yes.
You know what that even means?
Yes.
It's a big word.
Yes, a big word, I know, I was
My
up there.
my mother was, I know.
In the time that you've been on track this year, what, you said 5 times that you've got in this car so far this year, and how many of those times so far has John been in your way?
None. If I can get to where I can finish the race and still see him, you know, and he's not lapping me, which he hadn't lapped me yet. But no, we ran a heat race at Little Rock last time we raced down there, I guess. And I started on the pole or outside the pole. John was supposed to start 5th, and 3rd place car didn't line up, so he started 3rd. I didn't know he was starting 3rd. I thought, well, I might get the lead a lap, you know. And we took the green, and here he comes going into 3 on the first lap. But I ran 2nd to him, so you know.
I had to put the bumper to him.
If I could run 2nd to him, I'd be happy.
I'm amazed he was as popular as what he is down in South Arkansas last week's show.
I don't know.
They're calling me, asking me where he's racing at that weekend. I think they're trying to avoid it.
Yeah, we went to Russellville the weekend before last, and people was asking, where's Kirby? Where's Kirby? When's he coming in? He's not coming. John's got a lot of talent.
He does.
He
does.
John's always had the talent, John's got, decent stuff. He works on his stuff.
And that early time when you was running the late model, did you run with him?
You know, you did.
Some.
Johnny I was kind of, that early time, he was off traveling. I mean, I
That's
think
what
they
I
were
knew,
in
he was off doing
Alabama, and,
his big thing.
y'all had,
Was he in
we
your
raced
way most of
together.
the time then?
John? No, I don't really remember us racing a lot really till I started running the comp camps, and he was already kind of running that, but
yeah.
like I said, we stayed going most of the time, and
When I first started, yeah, they were on, him and Bill were on the road. I
It
think,
was,
constantly.
yeah, them two were off in Florida or Alabama, Georgia.
someplace.
Big timing.
No, we wasn't big time, we just tried.
So, I mean, we've talked a little bit to you, Johnny, about that stuff, so, I mean, in the past, so, but you did lots of traveling and lots of racing and mostly off east, right?
Our job was to go and try to make that feasible and sell cars.
Right.
And I reckon Bill sold a lot of GRT race cars.
You also sold lots of t-shirts, I understand too.
Some nights you would. Some nights you would. You had the correct size.
Yeah. You still got any shirts left? I'm still looking for my Johnny Virden.
I
But
might,
it don't fit,
I might have a double jumbo left.
Hey, speaking of t-shirts, we gave away a shirt last week for the Monster Fest,
Yes.
and I forgot it. But Glenn Brown,
Won the last
Fireball
one.
won last week's shirt. So Glenn, give us a call or send us your address. We can get that out to you.
Glenn Brown, this like D48.
Yeah, that'd be old Fireball. He
I
he
remember
won the
that
drawing.
when I was a kid.
Yes.
He won a lot of races. He was very fast.
Yes.
D48.
Yeah,
Yes.
he was on the show a few weeks ago.
Okay. He was very, very fast.
But he won the drawing for the t-shirt from last week.
I'm gonna ask you this question.
Ask it.
And I know there's lots of people wanting to know, and I'm gonna go there, so.
Ask it.
What is with this Johnny Virden sprint car?
Okay.
I mean, I haven't said anything to nobody, I just know that Johnny Virden's got a sprint car.
I own
And
a
that's-
sprint car.
Okay, that's all I
I
want to
have
know.
probably the most profitable sprint car team in the state of Arkansas.
Alright.
I bought a sprint car frame at a farm auction. Main reason was because I didn't have one. And I've got one, and I'm gonna keep it.
There you go. Alright.
I tell this story to everybody I meet, but I asked Johnny one time, I said, Johnny, have you ever driven a sprint car? He said, yeah, one time I drove a sprint car. I said, what'd you think about it? He said, well, the sprint car was going into turn 3, but I was still coming out of turn 2. I tell everybody I think I meet that story.
That's an interesting car, but I think it's dangerous.
I remember you saying that.
I think it's probably the most dangerous stock car out there right now. Mainly the speed,
They're fast.
open wheeled.
Right, right.
I like to watch them all except the cautions.
Another question I want to throw out here tonight for you guys, question tonight from Fourth Place Speed and Muffler Shop in Thornville. Their question this week, what, we talked touched a little bit earlier, but all this steel block late model, you know, what do we do more to get more people involved, and what other class out there racing do you see that's gonna grow in the future? I mean, you guys have all been around a long time. What do we do, you know, what classes are gonna be the classes of the future?
Well, the strongest thing right now is probably the factory stock deal. I think it's a strong class. I think they're taking it pretty well. The modifieds, it's gonna be strong, because IMCA's got a pretty well standard on that. The late model deal, I don't know, they're gonna have to be careful, they're gonna have to tack it some. They're gonna have to get together and not try to bully one another as far as the racetracks. They're gonna have to work together, because there's just gonna be so many of them to pass around. But I think it's a good class, because people wanna see late models. They wanna see late models, they wanna see sprint cars. They wanna go and see their neighbor race, but they wanna see a late model.
And Arkansas has always been really a strong hub for late model racing.
It has, very. I feel like, you know, GRT, Larry Shaw, you know, I think, you know, that's, you know, they've always been really strong in the late model business. And I think it's just filtered down from that, and you know, Billy Moyer, Wendell Wallace, Bill Fry, you know, there's a lot of superstars from a late model in Arkansas.
I think you gotta keep it where people can afford it. You can't outprice yourself.
You know, and I think that has been a deal. And I know a lot of, you know, out talking with different racers and stuff like that. That's the main thing, what you said, is take it enough to know you got a set of rules. Don't price yourself out of getting a lot of cars that are going to be out there running.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we did it with the street stocks, basically. You know, where you had $60,000-$70,000 car out there racing for 500. I mean, you know, it was just one of those deals that.
Yeah.
You can race a late model cheaper. Right.
Mhm.
That's what I'm getting at. You can race a late model cheaper than what you could there. But I like the steel. You know what I mean? That's, to me, because there's a lot of late models out there for somebody to go get a car,
Put a street stock motor.
put a street stock motor, and go out there and run with y'all and have fun, and not cost you a fortune to do it.
I think it's gotta be inexpensive.
Where does a beginner class come from? I mean, what avenues is there out there to get an affordable beginner's class where, take a kid who's just graduating high school or college, that hadn't really got on his feet too well, how does he get started these days?
I don't know. I don't know, that's hard, that's hard.
Sure, I know the answer to
A
that.
decent factory stock, I'd say, have 10 or 12,000, you know, a good one.
Right.
I don't know how a kid gets started now.
But you know, it's, and John told an interesting story there at the beginning, you know, the manufacturers aren't really manufacturing cars anymore, that some kid can go out here and drag up and put a roll cage in and go out there and go racing anymore. I mean, you pretty much gotta have a fabricated piece and you know,
And what was out there got crushed at some point in time here in the last, 10 years, so.
You know, really, you know, what do we do for that starting point for that average kid that's just getting out of high school and college to get him started?
I don't know, I don't have the
I
answer.
don't know that I have an answer for that.
And we've said before, and I know you've heard me say it before, and then I'm asking y'all, I mean, my thinking, here's, and I know it don't mean much, but to me, a lot of these racetracks, and I'm not throwing I'm saying all of them, one of those things, kind of like the deal that y'all got going with the late models. You know, they get together and say, we're all gonna run this class right here, kind of like the old bomber class. You remember, y'all remember that, where, you could go out there and have a $1,500 car and go out there and race all week, all year long and have a blast.
And be
And be competitive for that money on, but that don't, it's
But
not.
one track can't step out there and do it
No,
alone.
that's
You
what
gotta
I'm
have
saying. To
some
me, all
dancing
these tracks have
partners
gotta
to do
get
that.
together and say, hey, we're gonna do this class and see where it goes, to get some of these, talking about those kids that are sitting in the stands that wanna race, but just can't afford it.
You don't have a lot of cars for sale either.
No.
Like a factory stock
No.
car that your 18-year-old or 20-year-old guy can go, hey, I wanna buy that car. Nobody's building those
And
for sale.
if they are, they're expensive.
Yeah.
If a car is for sale, it's expensive out there.
But the factory stock car is, it's a lot better than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
You know, it's a race car
It's a
now.
race car now, yeah.
And before, like you said, it was just a car.
It's just a car.
And I don't know, the world's just changed. I don't know if it's for the better, but it has changed.
So what, come on, Bert, give us some insight.
I don't know, I don't know what they can do to get started. Best thing they can do is just start helping somebody and kind of learn what they need to learn, what they need to do. They need to go with their neighbor or whatever, and they need to learn it from the ground up. And then maybe someday, maybe their neighbor will help them some. That's gonna be their best way to get started, is somebody to help them.
You sit there and you say that, we probably all started that way. Going with somebody, helping them in the pits, you're talking about all the guys helping you. We probably all started that way, as far as going and helping, and the next thing you know, someone says, drive my car tonight? And you do.
You want to pack the track with it.
You go out, you're out there packing the track, and then, and it just kinda goes from there.
Now, that's the easiest way for somebody to climb in, 'cause just to go out there and just buy into it, it'd be tough.
Yeah.
We're gonna have more new drivers, like you're saying.
Yeah.
We need some new drivers, some younger people stepping up and want to race. Because how do you get that drive into people to do that? I don't know.
But I think that's something that track owners and promoters are gonna have to figure out pretty quick.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, I agree.
there's gonna have to be an answer to that question, and and I know it's impossible to do because, you know, everybody's got their own ideas, but I truly believe that if the owners don't get together and come up with something to bring, you know, even if it's a new class, and I'm not ever really a proponent of that, because I sometimes think we have too many classes at different tracks, which I think the track owners need to get together and we need to standardize what classes we're gonna have and standardize the rules. But, like I said, I sometimes think we have too many classes, but I would be in favor if all the tracks would get together and come up with something to get these younger people involved.
And I think the racers need to help the tracks with something like that, because if we don't help the tracks, we're not gonna have a track.
That's right.
And it filters down.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, I think it's something that's gonna have to be addressed in the next couple of years.
It is. Now, really.
Well, Heath, that brings us to the new vision and graphics vision for the future.
Let's start with John. What are we looking for 2021? Rest of this year from Jon Kirby.
Man, I'm just gonna continue to try to keep doing what I'm doing, and, you know, I've said from the beginning, I'm not chasing any points. I mean, I'm not in a points battle. I'm just gonna pick and choose races and weekends that I'm able to race and don't have other plans, and, you know, try to make time for family and some social life besides racing. Finish out the year, try to keep it in one piece, and, make a couple comp cams races and try to make the show, and, see where we end up at the end of the year, I guess. It's my plan.
Dwayne?
Put a bounty on Jon Kirby.
I don't know how I get all this attention, but.
Well,
By winning.
people hate winners. No, I don't know. I mean, Jeff's learning. He's learning. I think he's got a good future.
And that was one thing I meant to ask you a while ago. Does he listen well to you?
No.
No, he listens to John more listens to me. But Jeffrey's been around a long
Yeah,
time.
I think Jeffrey's got a great advantage because he's watched from the stands and helped and, you know, wrenched on these cars literally from the time he was 8. He knows, you know, I don't know, he's seen it from a unique side, like Johnny's saying. He has been there. He learned from the ground up, and now he's getting to experience what it feels like in the car. And I mean, man, he's better at really feeling what the car's doing already than I feel like I am today. I mean, he comes in and says, I feel like it's doing this, and man, that's tough. I mean, it's tough to walk out of that car, out of the race, and you got all this in your head, and, you know, pick and choose what you felt and relate it to what you need to do to adjust on the car. And man, he's doing, in my opinion, he's doing a great job of that already too.
And he's got back when I raced, he knows what happens when you tear up stuff. Because he's had to fix my car more than once. So he knows I want to be careful here, because if I don't careful and I wreck it, I'm going to spend 3 hours fixing it in the pits. Right. So he's, you know, you got to drive with your head. But Jeffrey's going to be good. He's got patience.
Which is important.
Which is important. I mean, you got patience, you got to feel the car, and he drove Splinterville 2 weeks ago, and he got in a rhythm, and he was just zinging. My goal is to help him.
Right.
Get him on the front, get him beat this guy.
Jeffrey?
Yeah, kind of just keep going and keep getting seat time. You know, try and get to where we can keep up with John. You know,
learned a lot by following him.
Yeah. And, you know, the last time out we ran good. We ran second to Stephen Crocker down at Plummerville. And I feel like I was just, you know, as fast as he was.
That's what
You know.
second always.
That's what second
First loser.
But, you know, just keep.
And by the way, he's a pretty good shoe himself.
He is good. He's a good driver.
But, you know, that, you know, I've run good a couple of times, you know, and that helps, just getting a little bit of confidence,
Confidence, right.
you know, thinking, you know, just trying to keep doing what I'm doing and keep the car straight. Try not to make any enemies, you know.
Right.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Man, I hate making enemies, but I've driven like an idiot a lot, and you know, you accidentally run over something. You never really purposely run over somebody. You're just, I don't know, you're just out of control sometimes. I
I'm
feel
fixing to
like.
say,
So,
Virden's looking away.
I've never,
I don't. I never purposely run over you,
over
but
somebody.
I sure have hit a lot of people. So.
Somebody door slammed me at Pepper County one year in turn 4 to get around me. They went to the next turn.
You door slammed them.
No, I pushed them off the track. It didn't hurt them. They were fine. He come in there around turn 4 and there was like, I said, okay, I backed up and let him have that spot. Went to turn 1. That was actually the track exit.
Yeah.
Just wasn't ready to go.
Johnny?
I'm gonna do what I'm doing. I raced my old B mod. I run 4th the other night at Plummerville, and really that was good for me. And there was some guy come up told me that he run 2nd and his bucket list was to outrun me.
So you made his day.
So I made his day, and I'm gonna run over him now. And I'm gonna make Jon Kirby run some bigger races.
You gonna do that, huh?
I'm gonna make him run some bigger races. So that's my goal right there.
Rest of us would.
I'm not gonna ask the sprint car team goal right now.
No,
We'll get to that some other time.
Okay, okay.
This is only an hour show, we can't go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like I said, we wanna thank our sponsors again, True Grit Auction Services over in Dardanelle. Please check out their Facebook page for those 2 big auctions that they've got currently going. Chambers Bank at 28 locations throughout Arkansas. Shaw Race Cars up in Batesville, KR Performance Fuels. Skyway Buick GMC up in Joplin, Missouri. You been out having to pass out any keys?
I haven't done it this past week.
Okay, you're falling down on the job.
I know.
We also want to
Money
thank
hadn't called.
We also want to thank 4Play Speed and Buffer, Plummerville, Weston Petroleum, Ecky's Parts and Accessories in North Little Rock, Straight Line Transmissions in Greenbrier, Phil Potts Automotive up in Greenwood, Arkansas, Blankenship's Pit Stop for everything they do for us and sponsoring the cruise night
Yeah.
coming up. You want to talk just a little bit about that?
August 14th, we got a cruise night in Danville, and got a band that's gonna be playing.
Cam
Shelton be playing there on the stage there in town, cruising, and all proceeds go to a scholarship fund, and Lieutenant Camden Mainhart Scholarship Fund that gives a scholarship to all 4 schools in Yale County.
Mhm. Actually, we give away 5.
We give away 5.
1,000. And then, coming up in September, the big
September
festival
18th is the
also.
festival. Yeah, the Petty Jean River Monster Festival is what we call it. Got a big car show and just a lot of stuff going on. Check it out.
Yep. And Johnny Virden will also be there at both events.
Yeah.
So,
Not bring us
We
sprint
may
cars.
and we may get him to sign autographs.
yeah. But anyway, like I said, we want to thank these 4 guys for taking time out and visiting with us this
Yes.
week. And like I said, next Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, we'll see you back from some secret location somewhere in Arkansas.
Yeah.
And I'm Bill Gilkey, Heath Tate for Arkansas Motorsports Magazine's Tuesday Night Tune-Up. Thank you.